So I think the key thing that you've got to get here, and your clients, if they're not thinking about psychological safety right now, they should be. They really should be, because particularly since we've evolved into this shoebox world where we're in these Zoom meetings and we're living these hybrid lives. I hope it's at least over time, it's going to become hybrid. People feel less human, less connected, less safe than they ever have before. So if your clients are thinking psychological safety, well, then they need to know that the route into that is educating people on how to show up in an emotionally intelligent way, because you can't have psychological safety without emotional intelligence. And it's not just me. I mean, you could say, come on, Deiric, you're an emotional intelligence organization. Of course you'd say that. Go out and research it. Every single commentator is saying the same thing, sometimes not using the word psychological safety. Here's McKinsey. They say, our research finds that a positive team climate in which team members value one another's contributions, care about one another's well-being, and have input into how the team carries out its work is the most important driver of psychological safety. It's not enough to know what psychological safety is. You have to be showing up. You have to be behaving. You have to be embodying that emotionally intelligent approach that makes for psychological safety. So I can paraphrase and say, psychological safety, we gave you a couple of definitions at the beginning. I said, it's what you experience when you're confident that those around you will show up to you in an emotionally intelligent manner. Now, often in these sessions, people will say, Deiric, that sounds like you live in a Shangri-La, kumbaya, let's have a group hug world where we're never going to upset anybody by saying anything that they won't like or disagreeing with their ideas. And it's exactly the opposite. It's exactly the opposite. If you have clear values, clear rules, clear ideas of what is acceptable, and you make it easy for people to be able to interact with one another in a frictional way intellectually, while protecting them from the dangers of social friction, well, then you create an environment where innovation thrives. So psychological safety is just down to the way that people show up to one another. Now, I want to warn you about something that's really important when you read Amy Edmondson's book and you read Timothy Clark's book. And it's not intentional on their part. And it's because they know who the influencers are in organizations, and the influencers are in organizations are generally people like us. They're people who have a little bit of gray hair. Okay, some of them have a lot of gray hair, but have a little bit of gray hair and have a little bit of authority. And so they know that those are the ones who are the greatest influence. So those books tend to talk to people and say, you have the responsibility, Mr. Ms. Boss, for psychological safety. And that is absolutely so wrong. Every single one of us who are members of any informal or formal teams, members of groups, members of families, have a responsibility for contributing to psychological safety. Because think of it, in a group environment, they're again, a little bit like what I said with the brain, it's binary. You're either contributing positively to the psychological safety in the environment by the way you show up, or you're taking away from the psychological safety in that environment by the way you show up. So if you happen to be unlucky enough to be working in a team where the boss is so emotionally intelligent and psychologically safe bypassed that you despair that the team can ever establish any sort of that level of psychological safety that will make you successful, well, then stop. Because it's not just that person is the biggest influencer, but they're not the only one. It makes it everybody's responsibility, and everybody's opportunity is to enhance the psychological safety in a team.